Hello crafty creatures, thank you for joining me for a yarn review of Moda Vera's Kosh cotton, which is what I used to make this blanket behind me. I used the colorways Ocean and Vanilla, which I'm pretty sure you can guess which one is which. I used 21 skeins of yarn to make this blanket over a year and a half, but let's not talk about that second point there. So I feel like I have a good amount of experience with it to be able to make this review, but please remember this is just my experience and my opinions of this yarn. Everyone will have a different experience working with the same yarn, so totally fine to have a different opinion to me. This is just my thoughts. Now, I got this yarn from Spotlight, which is our yarn store here in Australia. You may be able to find it at yarn stores local to you or even online. It is an 87% cotton, 13% nylon blend that comes in 100-gram balls with about 200 meters of yarn in each one. It is DK weight, and they recommend a 4mm knitting needle, or if you crochet a 5mm crochet hook. It does come in 13 different colors and will set you back $9.50 a ball, but please wait for a sale. I got this for like a third of the cost, if I remember correctly, so it will always go on sale. Never buy on full price unless absolutely necessary, which I feel like is just general for all yarns. Like, never buy at full price, save yourself the money. It does recommend for you to either hand wash this or machine wash on gentle, lay flat to dry, and then iron on low if necessary. Now I'll show you what the yarn looks like up close. I just made like a knitting swatch with my knitting machine with some leftover white yarn that I had. So this is what it looks like up close. I did run this through the washing machine just on like a regular cloth cycle, and it didn't fuzz up too much, so I think it is definitely machine washable. But obviously, if you wanted to protect your pieces, hand wash is always recommended, but obviously depending on how big your project is, that might be a bit of a struggle. Like, this is a single size blanket, so hand washing it would be super heavy and take me way too much energy and time. So I just threw it in the washing machine. Well, not yet this one, but this I did. But yeah, this is what it looks like up close. My knitting machine did not really like this yarn. It drops stitches a lot, but that's okay. This is just my scrap yarn that will go into amigurumi stuffing anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. Now, the pros of this yarn is that I find it to be very soft. Everyone's different, but I quite like the feeling of this. It isn't the softest yarn ever. Like, definitely polyester yarn will be a bit softer than this, but for a cotton, I think it's pretty good on my skin. The nylon fiber also makes it pretty strong, so it won't snap as easily as potentially some other yarns. I do not have any issues with the yarn snapping with this particular project behind me, and my tension does tend to be a little bit tight, so if it was to snap, I feel like I would have had it snap already, like I did with some other yarns. But yeah, this one did not snap at all. It is also like a chain like construction, like a fleecy chain. So I don't know if you can see it out here, or maybe I'll take this bit here. Hopefully you can see. My camera wants to focus. It's like a chain construction, so it won't actually split very easily, and I don't think my camera wants to focus there. But yeah, it's quite a lovely yarn to work with. Now, I did unfortunately have a few more cons than pros for this one, and one of them was the color variety. So I did mention that it comes in 13 different colors, but they weren't really colors that appeal to me, and I really wish they did have a larger variety of colors. The colors that they did have were shades of similar colors. So for example, they had, I think, 3 in the red family, a couple of blues, a couple of greens, a few neutrals, black and white. So not too much variety there, but if you did want to make sort of like a tonal blanket or item of clothing with a couple shades of the same color, this yarn will definitely work for that. But yeah, I wish they did come out with a little bit more of a variety there. This yarn also is a little bit inconsistent, or like a lot inconsistent in my opinion. So I did mention I worked with 21 skeins of this. 10 of them were white and the 11 skeins were blue. I did have enough left over of the white to knit up this little swatch, but I did actually run out of the blue before I finished making this blanket. So the bottom bit down here has a larger section of white because I just wanted to finish it. I was like so close to being done and I ran out of blue. Now, I did look into why this could happen and have learned that the dyeing process can change the quality of the yarn. So I think that's what happened in this case. The blue obviously has a lot more dye in it than the white to give it that dark, vibrant blue color. So it does make it a little bit heavier than the white and also a bit thicker. So some of my white sections aren't as like filled out, I guess, with the 3.5mm hook as the blue sections, and that's because the white is a lot thinner for me anyways. That was my experience working with it. Other people have also found similar issues. I found this review of this one person who was doing tapestry crochet black and white, and her project was actually warping because the black was a lot thicker than the white. So it may impact some projects, so please keep that in mind if you're pairing light and dark colors. If you're pairing two dark colors or two light colors, I don't feel like it would impact you as much, but I've obviously only worked with these two colors, so might have a completely different experience to this. I also did find that some bits of the yarn were sort of like fluffy. It was as if the cotton came out of like the chain texture. I will put a picture up on the screen here for you of something that I found with the white yarn, but yeah, not too many of those, but definitely like a few different skeins had that issue now and again. It also had knots inconsistently, so some balls did not have any knots at all. Some balls, I think I had like 5 or 6 knots, so it's really luck of the draw of what you get in your skein. I really wish it was a little bit more consistent. Like, I wouldn't have mind maybe a knot or 2 per skein, but 5 or 6 is quite hefty, and yeah, just obviously impacted the crochet experience because I sometimes could only get maybe like 2 or 3 of these what do you call them, like the corner to corner bits before I had to tie on a new set of yarn. So like sometimes the pieces in between weren't even that long. I don't know what the point was of attaching that tiny bit in, but oh well, yarn manufacturers do what they do. It also doesn't glide as smoothly on my finger because of the like microfibery texture. I had no issues with it on my actual hook though, but I do use clover hooks, which are known to be pretty smooth. If you were using it on maybe like a plastic hook, you might find that it's not really gliding as well and might be a bit squeaky or grippy. So definitely do some experimenting, but it worked perfectly fine with my metal clover and more hooks. Now onto some yarn substitutions. So I do not actually find anything similar to this personally. Like, I haven't worked with anything that feels similar to this, but I did feel in store the Lion brand Feels Like Butter, which is a polyester yarn, and the feeling of it was fairly similar to this one. So totally different fiber content, but it does come in I think 100-gram skein, and it's similar meterage and stuff, but it's like $1 cheaper at our local Spotlight, so better value for similar sort of feelings. So if you didn't really care too much of the actual fiber content of the yarn, that could be an alternative, but I did go on Yarn Sub just to find something similar to this actual cotton blend. I'm just going to be referring to my laptop for that. So both of these options are both like a fleecy chain light texture, and gauge also matches for both of these. There's just slightly different fiber contents for them. So there is Barocco Bozzolo Barocco Bozzolo, hopefully I've said that right, which is 100% cotton yarn that is meant to be very similar to Moda Vera's Kosh cotton. There's also Juniper Mood Farm Cumulus, which is a cotton nylon blend, also similar gauge and like a fleecy texture, so should be very similar to this if you were to sub it out, or if those are the yarns that are available to you and you don't have this option. But yeah, that is just my experience working with the yarn. I would use it again, but in the future I would just be a bit more mindful of pairing a light and a dark, or just buying more skeins of the darker one, to sort of make sure I have enough to actually finish my project, because in this case I didn't, which is a bit sad, but it's okay, it's for me. But yeah, very soft. I would buy it again to make a wearable. It is breathable in my opinion, doesn't really become too warm when I'm cuddling with this blanket. So fabulous yarn. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you have worked with it, or you worked with a similar yarn, one of the substitutes, or if you've actually found more substitutes. Let us know down in the comments below. We would love to all learn new things here. But yeah, that is it for this video. If you found it useful, please leave me a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!